The Phillies take on the Nationals, 1:05 p.m. Eastern first pitch. Philadelphia is minus 155, totals 8.5. And if you like the Nationals in an upset at home, they're plus $1.35 for some money line cash. We got Paolo Espino on the bump for Washington, Aaron Nola for the Phillies. And following a very rough day on my BrockPage.com website yesterday, we dropped to 12-3 in our last 15 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very webpage. And that's going to drop us down to just 80% in that particular category during that stretch. So certainly bad news there. But the good news is we have another opportunity here today to get back on the winning track as we have ourselves another Major League Baseball tier package pick going off here this afternoon. We're also hitting at 60% in our last 15 crowd pleaser teasers on my BrockPage.com website as well. And we've got ourselves a two-team 7-point teaser in college football here this evening. Now, we currently have over 650 members who are signed up and active on my website. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website. And once again, that is BrockPage.com. Now, Aaron Nola struck out 151 batters, 1.10 whip for the righty. Now, the Fightin' Phils are on a 5-game winning streak, and they scored 7 runs or more in each and every one of those victories. This Phillies lineup is in the top 5 in road walks at the plate. They're also in the top 10 in road scoring. Bryce Harper's got himself a league-leading OPS of 1.014. The righty's also batting .306 at the plate, which is 8th in the majors. Andrew McCutchen's also hit 22 home runs and knocked in 64. The Phillies are taking on a Nationals club who lost their last 4 straight themselves, and they also dropped 8 out of their last 10. This Washington pitching staff is in the bottom 10 in the league in runs allowed per contest. They're also striking out just 7.9 batters a game at Nationals Park. Paolo Espino comes into today's contest with a 4.13 ERA. And when it comes to the total in this one, 7 out of Washington's last 10 ball games got over the number. 2-0 to the over in their last couple at home. Meanwhile, the Phillies went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 themselves. 3-1 to the over in their last 4 away from their home field. I'm going to lean toward the Philadelphia Phillies minus 155 and the over 8.5. Next contest, A's Tigers, 1:10 p.m. East. Oakland's minus 205, numbers 8.5. Frankie Montas for the A's, Matt Manning for Detroit. Manning's got just 3 wins on the year, 5.46 ERA and a 1.52 whip. The Tigers lost 4 out of their last 5 ball games. They're also in the bottom 5 in the majors in home scoring. The Tigers lineup is also being held to just 7.6 hits a game at Comerica Park. They're taking on an Oakland club who won 3 out of their last 4 themselves. And they also have Frankie Montas on the mound here tonight, who's got double-digit victories on the year. Now, the righty's also got himself a 3.66 ERA and a 1.20 whip. Frankie's also struck out 167 batters. The A's pitching staff is allowing only 3.7 runs a game when they travel. And when it comes to the total on this one, Oakland's 34-21 to the under against American League opponents on the road. Meanwhile, the Tigers went 8-2 to the under in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Oakland A's minus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next ball game, Brewers Giants, 3:45 Eastern Standard Time. San Francisco's minus 175, totals 8. Logan Webb for the Giants, Eric Lauer for Milwaukee. Now, Lauer's got a 3.61 ERA and also averages a strikeout an inning. And speaking of strikeouts, this Milwaukee pitching staff is striking out more batters per 9 than any other team in baseball. They also allow fewer runs per contest on the road than any other team in the league as well. They're squaring off with a struggling Giants squad who lost their last 4 straight, and they averaged only 1.2 runs a game during that stretch. This Giants lineup also averages nearly double-digit strikeouts a game at the plate, which could really be problematic considering the Brewers do nothing but strike people out. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, 8 out of San Francisco's last 10 ball games stayed under the line. Meanwhile, the Brewers went 5-1 to the under in their last 6 away from home. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers plus 1.5 and the under 8 runs. Next contest, Marlins versus the Mets, 7:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The New York Mets are minus 180, total 7.5. Carlos Carrasco for New York. No confirmed starter yet for the Fish. But regardless of who throws out the first pitch for Miami, the Marlins won 4 out of their last 6 ball games. And they're in the top 10 in fewest hits allowed per contest. They're also 15-11 against the number in their divisional road games. They're taking on a Mets club who's dead last in the majors in home scoring. Now, the Mets are averaging only 3.5 runs a game at Citi Field. They're also in the bottom 3 in hits on average per game. Carlos Carrasco is already 0-2 in just over 23 innings of work. The righty's got himself a 6.94 ERA and a 1.29 WHIP. Now, total-wise, 8 out of New York's last 10 ball games stayed under the number, 6-1 to the under in their last 7 at home. Meanwhile, the Marlins went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves, 3-1 to the under in their last 4 on the road. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Miami Marlins plus 1.5 and the under 7.5 runs. Next contest, Red Sox Rays, 7:10 East. The Tampa Bay Rays are minus 165, total 7.5. Shane McClanahan for Tampa Bay. Eduardo Rodriguez for Boston. Now, Rodriguez has a 5.12 ERA and a 1.39 WHIP. The Bo Sox lost 3 out of their last 4 ball games, and their pitching staff's in the bottom 3 in hits allowed per game. They're taking on a first-place Rays club who's a remarkable 44-19 in their divisional contest. As a matter of fact, the Rays are currently winning 68% of their home games against the AL East. This Rays lineup leads the majors in scoring, and they're led by Brandon Lau, who's hit 31 home runs and knocked in 78. Lau's currently 8th in the majors in that home run category. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is 5th in the league in RBI with 93 of them. When it comes to the pitching in this one, the Tampa Bay Rays are leading the majors in fewest runs allowed per contest at home. And of course, they have Shane McClanahan on the mound here tonight. He's 9-4 in the year with a 3.59 ERA, along with 117 strikeouts. Now, Tampa Bay allows only 3.2 runs a game at the Trop. When it comes to the total in this one, oddly enough, 3 out of Tampa's last 5 home games did get over the number. Meanwhile, the Bo Sox went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays minus 165 and the over 7.5. Next contest, Pirates Cubs, 8:05 Eastern Standard Time. The Chicago Cubs are minus 150. No number posted on the total. Keegan Thompson for Chicago, Mitch Keller for the Pirates. Keller's got double-digit losses thus far in the season, 6.75 ERA and a 1.81 WHIP. The last place Pirates have lost 4 out of their last 5. And they score fewer runs per contest than any other team in the majors. They're taking on a Chicago club who still has a winning record at Wrigley Field. Chicago's also won 5 out of their last 8 ball games. They have Keegan Thompson on the mound, who comes into today's game with a 3.09 ERA. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Chicago Cubs minus 150, winning that one outright for some money line cash. Next contest, Indians Royals, 8:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The Kansas City Royals are minus $1.25, totals 7.5. Mike Minor for Kansas City, Tristan McKenzie for Cleveland. McKenzie struck out 107 batters in just over 91 innings. The righty's got himself a 1.15 WHIP. The Indians are on a 3-game winning streak with 2 of those victories coming against the Royals. The Indians also picked up the W in 7 out of their last 10. And they're in the top 10 in striking batters out on the road. They're taking on a Kansas City squad who's got a losing record at Kauffman Stadium. And they also took the loss in 5 out of their last 8. This Kansas City lineup ranks dead last in the majors in walks at the plate. They're also in the bottom 10 in scoring on average per game. Mike Minor is on the bump for the Royals here this evening. He's got 11 losses thus far in the season, along with a 5.30 ERA. Now, the Royals walk over 3.7 batters per contest. When it comes to the total on this one, the Royals are 34-31 to the over on their home field. They also saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Cleveland get over the line. Meanwhile, the Indians are 34-22 to the over in their contests against the AL Central. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians plus 105. And the over 7.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our next and final matchup. It is going to be Braves versus the Rockies, 840 East. The Atlanta Braves are minus 160, totals 12.5. Tuki Toussaint for Atlanta, Chichi Gonzalez for Colorado. Now, Chichi's just 3-6 on the year, 6.08 ERA and a 1.44 WHIP. The Rockies are in the bottom 10 in hits on average per contest. They're also in the bottom 10 in runs allowed per game. They're taking on a first-place Braves organization who actually plays their best baseball on the road. They're currently in the top 10 in scoring on average per game. Freddie Freeman's hit 28 home runs. He's in the top 25 in both batting average and OPS. Meanwhile, Austin Riley's batting .303 with an OPS of .905. He's in the top 15 in the majors in both of those categories. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Atlanta allows only 3.7 runs per contest when they travel. Tuki Toussaint has a 3.60 ERA and a 1.15 WHIP. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Atlanta Braves minus 160 and the over 12.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 12-3 in our last 15 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very same webpage. I like Philadelphia minus 155 over 8.5. Oakland minus 1.5 under 8.5. Milwaukee plus 1.5 under 8 runs. Miami plus 1.5 under 7.5. Tampa Bay minus 165 over 7.5 runs. Chicago Cubs minus 150, winning that one outright for some money line cash. I like Cleveland plus 105 over 7.5. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 12-3 in our last 15 Major League Baseball tier package picks on my brockpage.com website. We're also hitting at 60% in our last 15 crowd pleaser teasers on that very same webpage. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves minus 160 and the over 12.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that goes to the South Plainfield Striker, who said yesterday, "Thanks, Brock. I was away hanging out in Wildwood. Let's have a great football season, brother." And certainly appreciate that. Wildwood, certainly a beautiful town there on the coast of New Jersey. And I never normally make it to Wildwood. I normally stop in Atlantic City, and that's about as far as I get on the AC Expressway or the Garden State Parkway. But anyway, South Plainfield Striker, always good to see you in the comments section. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, guys, it's early in the month. You're going to get your max value if you sign up for a package here today. I always tell people the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. I use the Patreon platform, and Patreon bills you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So once again, the earlier in the month you sign up for a package, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.